Do not try what you're about to see at home.
First up, we have the Audi A4, which is powered by a 4-cylinder supercharged diesel engine. Next up we have is the 2004 BMW X5, which is powered by an 8-cylinder octane-powered engine. Diesel was made useful originally by Rudolf Diesel, who was actually a German inventor and mechanical engineer famous for inventing the diesel engine. This is a diesel engine built by MAN AG in 1906. Now here's a video that's going to show you how the diesel engine actually works.
The working principle of diesel engines was established in 1893 by inventor Rudolf Diesel. The fuel injection system is responsible for supplying the cylinders with fuel. The pistons are forced down during the combustion stroke. The force exerted on the piston is transmitted through the connecting rod to the gearbox. Unlike the typical Otto cycle engine, a diesel engine takes only in air through the intake valves during the first stroke. During the second stroke, the intake valves are closed and the air is compressed. As the air is highly compressed in the cylinder, the temperature of the air rises and reaches almost 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. In the third stroke, diesel fuel is injected directly into the cylinder. The fuel instantly ignites because of the high temperature of the air. The explosion pushes the piston down, which transfers power to the crankshaft.
Diesel is recovered thanks to a process called fractional distillation of crude oil. The process occurs because of the different number of carbons in each molecule. At different temperatures, a different usable fuel is recovered. Here's a video that will help you understand it.
Fractional distillation is a special version of this process, separating a mixture of liquids into many different parts, or fractions. It's ideal for separating crude oil, which is a soup of different hydrocarbon compounds, all with different boiling points. The main reason they have different boiling points is down to the number of carbon atoms in their molecules. The crude oil is heated to a vapor and pumped into a tall tower called a fractionating column, which is hot at the bottom and cool at the top. Fractions with long chains of carbon atoms and so high boiling points condense at the bottom of the column, whereas those with short chains and so lower boiling points condense at the top. The condensed liquid is extracted, and each fraction has different properties.
Mr. Professor, what are some uses of diesel fuel?
Some of the uses consist of car tax, servicing costs, resale value, performance, noise, torque, environment, price, fuel economy, longevity of the engine, and trailering.
Professor, what do you mean by car tax?
Diesel engines actually expel fewer harmful CO2 emissions than their octane-powered counterparts. Therefore, there's either no tax or less tax on the diesel car. For example, if you compare a 1.4-liter Volkswagen Polo in diesel and octane, then the diesel will have a much lower tax.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. What do you mean by servicing costs?
Diesel cars need to be serviced a lot less than their octane-powered counterparts. and this usually is helped with the fact that diesel engines do not need a spark plug, which is the main part to start the car. Less servicing means less wasting money on maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. What do you mean by resale value?
Diesel cars are generally in high demand because they offer good fuel economy and they offer almost little or no tax. Remember, student, where there is high demand, there's always value.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. What do you mean by performance?
Performance is important in any car you buy. Why do you think trucks use diesel engines? This is because they need more power, and this comes from torque. Diesel engines provide a lot more torque than their octane counterparts because of the way diesel burns, which is important in generating more power to pull other objects such as another car, and it is also important for speed.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. Mr. Professor, what do you mean by noise?
Noise is usually a preference for the driver. If they want a luxurious ride, they most likely like a silent cabin, which is offered in diesel cars. However, younger people and speed seekers like to hear a lot of noise from their engines, which can also be provided by diesel-powered engines. Noise should not be a problem when considering a diesel-powered car.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. How is diesel affecting the environment?
Like I said before, car taxes are usually lower in diesel cars due to the lower CO2 emissions. Therefore, diesel-powered cars are safer for the environment as well.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. How is the fuel economy on diesel cars?
Diesels get great mileage. They typically deliver 25 to 30% better fuel economy than similarly performing gasoline engines. Diesels can deliver as much or more fuel economy than traditional gasoline and electric hybrids, depending on the models involved. General Motors points out diesel fuel contains about 14% more energy by volume than gasoline. This gives it a significant edge in fuel economy. If you want a car that drives further, go with diesel.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. How well are the diesel engines built?
Diesel engines are built more ruggedly to withstand the rigors of high compression for more torque. Consequently, they usually go much longer than gas-powered vehicles before they require major repairs. Mercedes-Benz holds the longevity record with several vehicles clocking more than 900,000 miles on their original diesel engines. If you want a car that lasts longer, go with diesel. Diesel fuel is the most common energy source in the United States for the buses used to transport school children and other bus riders. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, approximately 94% of freight shipped in the United States travel on a train, truck, or boat that uses diesel fuel. Another major user of diesel fuel is the construction industry. Equipment such as forklifts, cranes, excavators, and loader backhoes depend on diesel fuel's power to fuel their work. In the U.S., over 2/3 of the tractors, cultivators, harvesters, and other farm equipment use diesel fuel. Ports use diesel-powered equipment to handle cargo and as fuel for ferries and tugboats.
This new clean diesel cruise gets 46 miles per gallon highway and is clean, quiet, and starts at under $18,000. Diesel is not just more cost-effective in a vehicle. Diesel vehicles have some other benefits for their owners too. They have higher resale values, and they last longer than their gasoline counterparts. Currently, only 1.5% of cars sold in the US are diesel, but that number is expected to grow over the next 3 years to 5%, or 75,000 cars a year.
Diesel fuel has a future in mobile homes in the form of a fuel cell. This is basically just for electricity. Companies like General Motors have announced that it will be offering more clean diesel options in the future. People predict the sale of clean diesel vehicles will jump from 680,000 in 2011 to more than 9 million in 2016.